Another day to reclaim timeless ways. Reclaim them. Mike Traster, Simon Fuller, that's the essence of the show. And Mike, as we delve into another topic, tell us what path, what journey are we taking today?
I'm going to talk about different goals or new goals.
New goals, different goals. All right, I like the sound of that.
Yeah. So something changes. You wake up one day and this thing that you've been doing for 20 years, whatever it is, you just have lost your passion for it. Or you lost your job. Or there's no more money in whatever you're doing. You know, for the economy changed, whatever. Your business ended and you did something for 30 years and you're burned out, whatever. So one question is, you know, what are creative activities? What do you think about? Not necessarily something that you're doing, but something you think about, something you're curious about. Well, I'd like to find out more about that. How do I do that? Well, you can always call somebody up. Call up somebody that owns an art supply store or a car repair shop. You know, is there a class you can take? I don't think we're set up all that well here for people who don't have a budget in this community for that kind of thing. We used to be. We used to have classes for stuff like that. It's pretty much dried up, which is a huge mistake, you know, because communities are made out of people. So that should be available. Somebody should say, hey, people would live better and maybe longer lives if they could do more things on their own.
Sure.
You know, how about a $3 painting class, you know? So you get 20 students, they got $60. Teacher's happy, students are happy, you know? Where do you find your activities? How do you find them? I think you find them in your daydreams.
Okay.
Did you ever open up a bottle of soda for the first time and all the bubbles come up from the bottom? Have I ever used that metaphor?
I don't remember.
Yeah. So you got like a bottle of sparkling water, right? And you open it up and all of a sudden it goes, you know, all these bubbles come up. Well, hidden in your daydreams are your aptitudes, your gifts, and your interests.
Sure.
So if you pay attention, you'll see some consistency, right? So music. What about playing an instrument? I don't know. Can you find a used guitar for $5 in a junk store? Maybe. Maybe not. Can you find a broken one and try to fix it? Yeah. If you do a bad job, what are you out?
Right.
A $5 guitar and a tube of glue?
Right.
Who cares, right? You tried. You learned something. Now, maybe you're curious, so you think, did I use the wrong glue? Right? Is there another way to fix that split in the wood? Right? What are the names of the parts of the guitar? So you ask 10 questions, you write down a few ideas. Now you've stimulated your curiosity. Does that mean you're going to be becoming a Stradivarius builder in the next day and a half? Unlikely. But that little scientist experimenter, that smart child that likes to open new doors and fill new rooms with things, right? In this endless room that we have between our ears. It's endless.
Sure.
You know? It's like a mansion with 1,000 rooms in it. How many rooms does it have? How many do you want to create?
Sure.
You know? Art. I can't afford art supplies. You go to a Goodwill store and there's a shoebox or a cup full of pencils.
Right.
And colored markers. Now you have supplies. Or you can't afford drawing paper. Go to the butcher shop and say, can I buy 10 feet of butcher paper from you? How much would that cost? I want to do some sketching. And the butcher says, $1. He doesn't care.
Right.
Right now you got art supplies, right? Or, well, I want to frame something, but I can't afford a frame. Again, use store, get an old picture, take the picture out, now you got a
There you
frame, right? So, I've got a little backyard that I've kind of been creating for a very long time, and I wanted to make a path in it. And I don't have a budget to buy all those fancy blocks, right? So I'm looking around one day and I'm thinking, what can I use? And I see somebody busted up their driveway, right? So I get little patches of cement. They're like 3-4 inches thick,
Huh.
different shapes.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, if I dig a hole in the ground about the depth of that piece, right? And I fit it in there, and then I just take a broom and sweep the dirt back over it and then sweep it off the surface, right? If I put down 5 of those pieces and it blends in with the grass, I've got a very interesting, natural looking path form.
Sure.
And actually, it looks good. It looks wonderful, you know. And I'm always looking for one more chunk of cement to grow it.
Yeah.
Now, it's not perfect. That's right. So I have an opportunity to practice patience, to see it growing, and not pitch a fit about it. So one of the things that destroys new goals is impatience.
Sure.
And the other is perfection, right? Impatience and perfection come from a shame base, right? But if I've got blocks that each one of us may be that big, approximately, right? And I fit them in the ground and they're just in, like here and there and there and there, and make a little curve out of them.
Right.
25 pieces might take me 3 years to assemble, but now I've got a path that goes from a shrub, curves around to the back entrance of the...
Now I'm going to be looking for concrete, Mike, when I'm out and about.
Ah,
I
yeah.
might find you a piece.
Oh, wonderful.
But no, it's interesting when you
Yeah.
bring up things like this. It's just that, you know, it's that creativity of the mind is really what you're talking about here. And I do think it's so easy. I mean, I look at my life to get in one rut.
Right.
And I liked your, you know, your idea with the bubbles coming up, because surely there's more than just this path I'm on that I would enjoy being on otherwise. So why am I not? Why am I not taking up some of these things? Why are you not? What? And is it too late? I'm in my 40s now, Mike. I'm already set up. This is good. Why? Well, I think you're laying out some, I guess you're teasing my mind a little bit with,
Yeah.
with kind of some of the things you're laying out.
So I was in a terrible relationship. Person was extraordinarily deceitful and dishonest. It happens more frequently than any of us want to admit. And so I was doing a lot of sketching, and I was getting decent as a beginner. And after that, I was like, God, you know, I was mad at myself for having let this person into my life. What's wrong with you? How could you be that dumb, right? Very common way to look at things. So I lost my interest in the drawing. Well, I've started to get it back. So all I'm doing is I'm accumulating supplies, a buck at a time, $2
Sure.
at a time. So maybe I've spent $50 in 6 months. I try to sketch something one day, and whatever little bit of talent I had honed is gone. So I'm going to have to try to recreate it. It was interesting, right? So you can look at that and go, oh, screw it. I don't have that ability anymore.
And what's so interesting is nowadays you can find, you know, we've talked about in other shows, you know, everything good can have bad to it, everything bad can have good to it. Internet
Yeah,
is one of those topics.
very much so, yeah.
Internet's one of those topics, but half of these things, even with relation to drawing or learning how to play an instrument, it's not even like you necessarily have to go get a professional lesson in the
No.
beginning. If you just want to pick something up and learn, there are so many tools and resources out there free.
Yeah.
And if you decide to pursue beyond that, maybe you want to pay for some classes and courses. Just saying that really what is to stop us? Ourselves. Really.
I was looking at a book this is probably about 15 years ago, and it was a book about more primitive technology, right? So one subject in this book was building stone walls,
Okay.
right? So let's say along a piece of property or a little patch of farmland or whatever, somebody builds a stone wall, no cement, and they build it on stable ground, right? So it's like not 3 feet away from a river,
Right.
so it's not going to get washed away. And what they did was they built it in such a way that there was like 2 or 3, I think there was 3 groups of rocks. There was the middle and the outsides, right? The way they built it was they choose the stones so that every stone was leaning towards the middle. So it was stable, it was self-stabilizing. So it's like 100 years later, the whole thing is still there.
Huh.
Because it's falling into itself. It's not falling out of itself. It's designed to fall together, not to fall apart. And you're like, damn, that's really smart. You know, I love that, you know? And so can I apply that to something else? Maybe, you know? But even that in and of itself, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So reusing things, you know, every week or 2 weeks, I bring that big bucket of used soup cans to the curb and they get recycled, which is good, you know, or at least they tell us it's good.
Sure,
Maybe
sure,
it's true, I don't know. But I keep asking myself, what can I do with a soup can? I can nail it to the wall and put screwdrivers in it,
Sure.
right? Or wrenches, or paintbrushes, right? When I was a kid, I once took one, I had a little speaker, had a big can, little speaker, I punched or drilled 3 or 4 holes in it, and I took some cord, and you know how the speakers have little holes around them?
Sure.
And I took a piece of cord and I suspended it in the can, and it sounded nice. It had like a little bit of an echo. It made it deeper. And I was like 15 or 16, and it was a cheap speaker, and it made the sound better.
Sure.
And it was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
You know, could I do it with a bucket? I don't know. I haven't tried it, but I would think so.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of created more bass.
Yeah.
You know, so when you're looking at things, if you just ask yourself this question, what can I do with that? Or how do you repair or restore things? Gets back to like the guitar. I was talking to somebody one day and they had the beginning of a career of sorts with a stringed instrument.
Sure.
I think they became depressed and they stopped playing. And I asked them, I said, did you ever pick up that violin? No. Why? It's broken. And it's going to cost $1,500 to fix it. I'm like, wow. I was curious. I got on the internet and I found some guy in Australia who makes videos on fixing violins, which is similar to a guitar or a mandolin,
sure.
right? Or viola. And he was talking about the bottom and the top, they call plates, the top and the bottom surface. And then, you know, there's all the other parts, the strings and I can't remember all the names of the parts, but I learned something about, they only use natural glue because it doesn't dry out. It remains pliable, and so it doesn't impair the sound. And then he showed ways that you could actually take a small piece of like paneling and make a tiny little sliver of a cut and fit it into a crack. And then you could sand it, and then you could stain it and finish it maybe with a lacquer. And if you you did it carefully enough, it would almost look untouched. And I'm like, God, I got to find a $5 violin I can ruin and learn a little bit, you know, maybe not ruin,
Right.
you know. But so reusing things, repairing things, restoring things, classes. Unfortunately, I think a place like Lamar's or Sioux City would be better than Cherokee. We've kind of become a little backwards in that way, and shame on us. Go to the gym, take a yoga class, learn a martial art. But whatever you do, when I have taught Tai Chi on and off for a number of 20 plus years, much more than 20 years, I always suggest my students, imagine there's a box on the floor. Leave everything from your life in the box. You come in here for 40 minutes, or 30, or 10, or an hour. Just let it be in the box. Pick it up when you leave.
Yeah.
And pay attention. You know, and then 3 minutes a day. And I've literally heard dozens of people tell me I don't have 3 minutes. And I asked them, I said, have you ever done an inventory of your time? How many times you sit there, brain dead,
Right.
flipping channels, you know, for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
You have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But people don't want to hear that, you know? So if you don't want to get stuck in that clan with I don't have time, can you write? Maybe. You know, how do you write? You carry around a 3x5 card in your pocket. And if you come up with one picture, one image, one phrase, write it down. Put it in a shoebox. Do you know something that you do reasonably well that you can teach?
Sure.
You know, like you probably could teach many things related to media.
Have some idea, I hope.
Yeah, right. Visiting patients.
Yeah.
You know, I did a little bit of patient visiting at the VA, you know, and I brought my dog. There was a hospital in Seattle where I worked. Sometimes on my day off, I got my dog certified. It was a gorgeous golden cross with a hound dog, beautiful. And picture a golden with ears about that long, what a ham bone. And but he loved the patients, so I would come in on my days off and visit. That was fun, you know. Traveling, walk, run, bicycle, invent something, improve something, you know.
There's certainly stuff to do outside of our box that many of us put ourselves in today.
Right.
And you would encourage us to do that. Have a goal to do something new, different, maybe not even new or different, just better, something you're currently doing.
Right.
Dive deeper.
Yeah. The other thing is you may be doing more than you give yourself credit for,
Sure.
you know? Like I remember one day I kind of did a little inventory of my time, a day or two, and I had probably done 10 or 15 little mini sessions of health education with people. And I didn't give myself credit for any of it.
Yeah.
And I went back and I said, well, who did I talk to? And it's like so automatic. You know, I'm driven to help people be less trapped by their circumstances.
Sure.
So it's automatic. It's just like, boom, have you tried this? Have you read that book? Have you thought about this? So sometimes we do these things, but we don't consciously credit ourselves.
Sure. And that's a wrap. He's turned the page.
Yeah. Unless you want to.
We'll be on to a new show soon. No, that's great. We
Yeah.
appreciate you, Mike, always
Thank you.
sharing thoughts and things that can just improve us. And ultimately, if we're improving some way, shape, or form, that's trickling in, hopefully others are improving around us.
Right.
Have a great day. We thank you for joining Reclaiming Timeless Ways.